What's going on, Domination Crew? Dan here. It's the better half of two dudes, is what I would like to say. Today I want to talk about why it's so important to have a business when you step into the Amazon game.
Selling on Amazon has absolutely changed our lives. You want to know something? We're going to help you guys get there too.
All these people are talking about wanting to sell you a lifestyle. We're here to sell you a life.
Well, you may or may not know anything about e-commerce. You may or may not know anything about running a business, but they do blend. Having a good understanding of what a business is, understanding of why a business is important, especially when you start entering into the e-commerce field. It's good to understand why why having a business will help you understand e-commerce better. So let's say you get into e-commerce and you say, screw it, I don't want a business. I can just do this by myself, and I'm going to make all this money, and I'm just going to save it or spend it or do whatever the hell you want. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But when you have a business, when you establish from the very beginning of like, look, you know what, I'm going to set up an Amazon store, and I'm going to sell a set amount of goods. I'm going to make a set amount of money. I'm going to save a set amount of money, and I'm going to spend a set amount of money. And then, you know what, even if you don't have any aspirations of growing said business, it's still good to understand why having a business is important. First and foremost, you establish a brand. So let's say, for instance, you're selling kitchen appliances, and obviously some of the big ones out there, KitchenAid, Maytag, whatever. Those are companies. Those are companies that brand themselves by selling these set appliances. So let's say you want to get into that game. You're not developing refrigerators or dishwashers, but selling a store around selling kitchen appliances. You don't want to give it a name of like Joe's store. Some general store. You want to give it a name of like, Kitchen Appliances Plus or something along the lines that's more focused. Having a business with, either that name or a company that represents a company of that name gives you an idea. It gives you a way to establish a brand, establish a niche. Something that's very important because you have to look at it from the marketing perspective. If I go to, to Target, and I know what I'm getting when I go to Target. Regardless if you think Target is a higher cost or higher brand name than Walmart or Kmart, well, RIP Kmart, whatever your personal preference is, when you go to any of those stores, you understand what you're getting when you go into them. You're going to be able to buy name brand products. You're going to be able to buy non-name brand products. You're going to be able to go in and get your groceries. You're going to be able to go in and get your toiletries. There's so many things that you get when you go there. But those names that they chose specifically represent the stuff that they're selling. Mart, Target. All these names are specific. So, obviously when they started off, they could have been called something different, but they developed into the brand they are today. And that's something that you need to understand when you get into selling on Amazon. It's very important to establish that brand. That brand directly relates to business that you are trying to effectively run. So, like I said, let's get back to the kitchen appliances piece. You're selling on Amazon, you're selling kitchen appliances. And you call it, Kitchen Appliances Plus. When somebody goes to your store, they're going to see your name as Kitchen Appliances Plus. So the first thing they're going to think of is buying kitchen appliances. If you're selling kitchen appliances, you're in good shape. If you sell outside of the kitchen appliances, it's probably not going to make a whole lot of sense if you start selling like Q-tips and stuff. Having that target audience is extremely important. It relates back to running an effective business. If you have a target audience that you're effectively going after, you can grow a brand within a brand. You can, that niche that we so famously talk about. And that means that somebody, a good chance that, Sally in Manchester wants to buy a kitchen appliance and she sees Joe's General Store selling it for the same price or maybe, a little bit cheaper. But she's like, okay, well, this guy's a 5-star rated, Kitchen Appliances Plus. I think I might trust this guy more because he's selling something that I want to buy specifically. That's one of the reasons why general stores, we never really try to champion too much. It's long-winded, but essentially you're looking at this causal link now. You created this brand called Kitchen Appliances Plus. Let's say it's an LLC. And then you developed a store on Amazon called Kitchen Appliances Plus. There's that causal link of the business that you set up versus the business you're running. You have to think of e-commerce as being needing to be a brick and mortar without the brick and mortar. It's essentially what Amazon is in many ways. You need to be on that level. You need to be able to develop a business that supports a non-brick and mortar store. You don't have a chance to impress these customers right off the bat with being face-to-face. It doesn't matter how kind or nice you are to these people. They don't know who you are. They honestly, in many ways, don't care who you are. Being able to set up that storefront like you're actually running a brick and mortar shop is extremely important. So let's say you get that out of the way. You got your brand. Why is the business so important? Why can't I just run it without, just being, me? Like, I don't need a business. I'm just selling things. Wrong. You absolutely should and need a business. You should and want to have a business. You're developing something where you're selling something to somebody else. You want to be able to keep track of it. You want to be able to keep track of expenditures. You want to be able to, eventually get into taxes and start dealing with personal and business related deductions. There's so many different advantages there is of having a business, not just outside of being able to develop a brand and a niche to market to somebody you don't know, because that's e-commerce. It's being able to effectively run a business and be like, look, and honestly for the pride factor, which is really good too. Hey, guess what? I'm a small business owner, because technically you're a small business owner. And the ability to obviously, deal with the deductions. But it's essentially to be more in line of what Amazon, specifically Amazon and many of these online retailers expect of you. They're running a business, they expect you to run one as well. Now that means, if you want to be a sole proprietor, you want to create a limited liability company or even become incorporated, whatever you choose to do, that is up to you. But at the end of the day, by filing for a true business, by setting up and registering and establishing a true business, be it just completely online retail, which is completely fine. You don't need to have brick and mortar to be a business. It means that you're running a true business. And at that point, you can effectively separate business tasks and personal tasks. That's the end of the day what you want, especially in the IRS's eyes and Amazon's eyes, which they do require you to have a business. Separate yourself, separate the personal and business aspect. You're setting up a completely separate life when you become a business owner. If you're running a store out of your house, that's essentially what it is when you don't have a business. I mean, it doesn't feel official. You're probably not going to feel like you put in, you want to put in so much effort. And having a business that you can call, like, look, I set up this nasty LLC that has a couple DBAs and I'm running a bunch of different stores and I'm doing a bunch of different things. And, I created Kitchen Appliances Plus on Amazon, but I have it on eBay and I have it on Shopify and I have it all over the place. At the end of the day, regardless, having a business is something that you can essentially call your own. It's something that you manage, like something that you run. You could bring people into it. You could pay people to help you out. Like, there's so many advantages to having a business, especially when you specifically look at Amazon. Not just because, you're looking at the requirement factor, but more or less along the lines because there's a lot of things within a business that you running an online retail store, such as the store that you would set up on Amazon, you could take advantage of the business side, which, it's extremely important and beneficial in many ways. Honestly, one of the biggest pieces, instead of, just having that cloud of like, look, I'm running this successful, 6 figures, maybe even 7-figure online business, that's an actual business. The business pays its taxes. I pay my taxes. We're a functioning separate entity. I manage this business. I pay myself when I want. Or the business pays me, when I tell it to pay me. I'm buying something for the business, from the business. This is business money. This isn't something I earn. This is something the business earned that I'm taking from, that I helped earn. You're growing this, essentially what is a newborn when you first start your entity, and then grow it into a full adult. And that's something that you can be, prideful of. It's extremely important that you guys understand that, you really should be setting up a business, an official business. This is something that, a lot of people don't want to cover. It's like, there's so many ins and outs and facets of business I don't understand. We were there too. It's trial and error, and it's not the easiest thing to set up and run, but at the end of the day, but when you understand how to effectively run a business, it is the most rewarding feeling in the world. And that's something that everyone looking at getting into e-commerce, anyone that's becoming an entrepreneur, is literally getting themselves into, to become a business owner, small business owner, medium-sized business, large business, whatever the heck you want to call it. At the end of the day, it's something everybody has to start somewhere, and then you work your way up. So yeah, when you guys are looking at getting into online retail, especially with Amazon, you probably want to get that, that business set up. You can look at, your sole proprietorship, LLCs, or incorporated partnerships. If you have, a few other people, multi-member LLCs, there's so many different things that you can do. And all we ask of you is just do your research, look into what fits best for you, make the decision that's best for you and the type of business that you plan on setting up, and you'll be good from there. It's good to start off on the right foot, and when you're looking at just diving into the e-commerce field, a lot of people overlook it. They're like, look, I don't care about business. It doesn't bother me. It's not something I'm concerned with. Well, eventually you're going to have to be concerned with it. So you're better off just developing a brand and a niche, and then starting off on the right foot with that, and then working your way into selling on Amazon, being a successful business owner and a successful seller, an online retailer. That's pretty much it. Like always, just keep following our videos. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. We're always dropping some hot and fresh knowledge. And yeah, that's it. Talk to you guys later.